Hey, it's Jake Carver, and if you're watching this, you're about to hear a story that'll make your head spin. Picture this. You're sitting at a family dinner, the kind where the tension's so thick you could cut it with a butter knife. Everyone's smiling, but it's fake, like they're all waiting for someone to snap. That was me last month at my sister Maya's fancy DC apartment, surrounded by her military buddies, feeling like I didn't belong. They called me a nobody, a washed-up vet who couldn't hack it. Then her commander walked in, took one look at me and said, "Welcome back, General." Yeah, you heard that right. General. And just like that, my whole world turned upside down. Let me take you back to that night, because trust me, this is only the beginning. The dining room was all polished wood and candlelight, the kind of place that screamed, "I've made it." Maya, my little sister, was in her element, wearing her army dress uniform, her captain's bars gleaming. She'd always been the star, West Point grad, rising fast in some elite unit nobody talked about. Me. I was the guy in a cheap button-down, nursing a beer, trying to ignore the side eyes from her friends. There was Lieutenant Harris, a cocky sniper with a smirk that said he'd already judged me. Major Ruiz, all business, barely looked my way. And then there was Maya, laughing too loud, like she was trying to pretend I wasn't there. "Jake, pass the potatoes," Maya said, her voice clipped, like she was giving an order. I slid the bowl over, keeping my mouth shut. I'd learned years ago that arguing with Maya was like wrestling a tornado. You just got tired. Harris leaned back, swirling his wine. "So Jake, what do you do these days? Maya says you were in the army, but now you're... What, a mechanic?" The table chuckled, and my jaw tightened. "Security consultant," I said, keeping it short. Truth was, I was barely scraping by, taking odd jobs guarding warehouses in Baltimore. After I left the army, or rather after they kicked me out, life hadn't exactly been kind. "Consultant," Harris repeated, his smirk growing. "Fancy way of saying nobody, huh?" Maya shot him a look, but she didn't defend me. That stung more than the jab. Growing up, we'd been close. 2 kids against the world after Mom left and Dad drank himself into oblivion. But when I got discharged under a cloud, something broke between us. She climbed the ranks. I fell into the shadows. "Let's not bore Jake with shop talk," Maya said, changing the subject. "Harris, tell us about that op in Kabul." They launched into war stories, and I zoned out, staring at the mashed potatoes like they held the secrets to the universe. I didn't belong here, and they all knew it. I was halfway through planning my escape when the doorbell rang. Maya frowned, checking her phone. "That's weird." I wasn't expecting anyone. She opened the door, and in walked a man who looked like he'd stepped out of a war movie. Silver hair, ramrod posture, eyes that could cut steel. His uniform was crisp, a colonel's eagle on his shoulder. The room went quiet, everyone snapping to attention, even me, out of habit. "At ease," he said, his voice low but commanding. Then his gaze landed on me, and I swear, time stopped. "Jake Carver," he said, a faint smile tugging at his lips. "Welcome back, General." The room froze. Harris choked on his wine. Maya's fork clattered to her plate. I just sat there, my heart pounding, wondering if I'd heard him right. Sir," Maya stammered. "This is my brother, Jake. He's not in the service anymore." The colonel, his name tag read Donovan, didn't look at her. He kept his eyes on me, like he was seeing something nobody else could. "Oh, I know who he is," he said. "General Jake Carver, Shadow Corps. The man who saved 100 lives in Mosul and vanished without a trace." I felt like I'd been punched. Shadow Corps. Mosul. Those words were buried so deep in my mind, I barely remembered them myself. I'd been a soldier, sure, but a general? That was insane. My discharge papers said I'd been a sergeant, booted for insubordination. But the way Donovan was looking at me, I knew he wasn't joking. "Sir," I said, my voice hoarse. "I think you've got the wrong guy." "No," Donovan said, stepping closer. "They made sure you'd think that. But we need you back, Jake. The Shadow Corps is in trouble, and you're the only one who can fix it." Maya's face was a mix of shock and anger. "What are you talking about? Jake's not. He can't be." "Enough." Donovan cut her off. "Captain Carver, your brother's past is classified. But it's time he knew the truth. And so do you." Let me back up, because I know you're probably as confused as I was. Growing up, Maya and I were tight. She was the brains, always reading, always planning. I was the brawn, the kid who'd fight anyone who messed with her. Dad was a drunk, Mom walked out when I was 10, so it was just us, holding each other up. I joined the army at 18, thinking I'd make something of myself. I did, special forces, covert ops, missions I couldn't talk about. But 8 years ago, it all fell apart. They said I disobeyed orders, endangered my team. I was discharged, my record sealed, my life in ruins. I never told Maya the details. Honestly, I didn't remember most of it myself. Just fragments, like a dream you can't shake. I moved to Baltimore, took dead-end jobs, tried to forget. Maya, meanwhile, soared. She joined some elite unit, moved to DC, became the family's pride and joy. I was happy for her, really, but every time she looked at me, I saw pity. Or worse, disappointment. That dinner was supposed to be a chance to reconnect, but it just reminded me how far apart we'd grown. And then Donovan dropped that bomb. General. Shadow Corps. My head was spinning as we moved to Maya's living room, away from her gawking friends. Donovan sat me down, his voice low, like he was sharing a secret that could get us all killed. 8 years ago, he said, you led the Shadow Corps, a Black Ops unit so secret, even the Pentagon barely knew we existed. You were our best, strategic, fearless, loyal. But after Mosul, someone betrayed you. Your identity was erased, your memories altered. They wanted you gone. I stared at him, my mouth dry. Altered? You're saying someone messed with my head? He nodded. Neural suppression. Experimental tech. They buried your past to keep you quiet. But now the core is compromised. Someone's selling our secrets, and we're losing operatives. I need you back, Jake. You're the only one who knows how to stop this. Maya was pacing, her fists clenched. This is crazy. Why wasn't I told? I'm in the core too, sir. Why keep this from me? Donovan's eyes softened. Because you're his sister, Captain. They didn't want you asking questions. But now you both need to know. The traitor's still out there, and they're closer than you think. I felt sick. A traitor? My memories altered? I looked at Maya, her face a storm of emotions. Anger, betrayal, fear. Did you know any of this? I asked her. No, she said, her voice shaking. I thought you were just a screw-up. I'm sorry, Jake. Those words hit harder than anything. My sister, the one person I'd always fought for, thought I was nothing. But before I could process it, Donovan handed me a flash drive. This has your mission logs, he said. Some of your memories might come back when you read them. But be careful. Whoever erased you will know you're digging. They'll come for you. I took the drive, my hand trembling. Why now? Why bring me back? Because, Donovan said, the traitor's planning something big. A strike that could cripple the country. And you're the only one who's faced them before. That night, I sat in my motel room in Baltimore, the flash drive burning a hole in my pocket. I didn't want to plug it in. Part of me was terrified of what I'd find. What if I wasn't the hero Donovan thought I was? What if I was the traitor, and they'd erased me to cover it up? But I had to know. I owed it to myself, to Maya, to the truth. I opened my laptop, inserted the drive, and a single file popped up. Operation Nightfall. The name sent a shiver down my spine, like I'd heard it before. I clicked it, and a video started playing, a grainy feed from a desert, gunfire in the distance. It was me, younger, in tactical gear, barking orders. Secure the package. I yelled, my voice steady, commanding. A general's voice. Then the screen cut to a face, a man I didn't recognize, but his eyes were cold, calculating. You can't stop this, Carver, he said. Nightfall's coming. The video ended, and my phone buzzed. A text from an unknown number. Asterisk, you were warned, General. Stay away. Asterisk. I dropped the phone, my heart racing. Whoever erased my past was watching. And they weren't done with me yet. Hey, it's Jake Carver again, and if you thought that dinner where I got called a general was wild, you ain't seen nothing yet. Last time, I told you how I went from being the family screw-up to learning I was some kind of Black Ops legend according to Colonel Donovan. My sister Maya's commander dropped that bombshell in front of her whole crew, handed me a flash drive with my so-called mission logs, and warned me about a traitor in the Shadow Corps. Oh, and I got a creepy text telling me to back off. Spoiler: I'm not great at following warnings. So grab a seat because this is where I start digging into my past, and let me tell you, it's like opening a box you know has a snake inside. I was back in my dingy motel room in Baltimore, the kind of place where the walls smell like regret and the Wi-Fi's a suggestion. It was 2 a.m., and I hadn't slept since Donovan flipped my world upside down. That flash drive was sitting on the table, taunting me. Part of me wanted to chuck it out the window and go back to my life of guarding warehouses and dodging Maya's pity. But the other part, the part that remembered barking orders in a desert, the weight of a rifle in my hands, needed to know the truth. I plugged the drive into my laptop, half expecting it to fry the thing. The file, Operation Nightfall, opened with a password prompt. Great. I tried a few guesses. My old service number, Maya's birthday, even Shadow Corps like an idiot. Nothing. Then I remembered something Donovan said. Your memories might come back. I closed my eyes, digging for anything that felt familiar. A word popped into my head, like a whisper from a dream: Eclipse. I typed it, and the screen unlocked. Files flooded the screen. Mission reports, maps, audio logs. Most were labeled with dates from 2015 to 2017. Places like Mosul, Kabul, Sana'a. My name was everywhere. General J. Carver, Shadow Corps lead. My heart pounded. This wasn't some clerical error. I'd been someone. A leader. But the details were fuzzy, like trying to remember a movie you saw half asleep. I clicked an audio file dated June 2017. My voice came through, steady but tense. Team, we've got 48 hours to secure the package. Nightfall cannot go live. Carver out. The sound hit me like a punch. I remembered that moment. Sand in my boots, sweat on my brow, the hum of drones overhead. Mosul. We were after a biochemical weapon, something that could have killed thousands. I'd led the op, but it went sideways. People died. My people. Another file caught my eye, a video labeled Debrief Mosul. It was me, younger, in a tent, my face bruised. A woman sat across from me, her voice sharp. General Carver, your decision to abort the secondary objective cost us intel. Explain yourself. I couldn't see her face, but her name tag read L. Torres. Lena Torres. My second in command. The memory hit hard. Her dark eyes, her quick laugh, the way she'd saved my ass more times than I could count. Where was she now? Before I could process it, my phone buzzed. Another text from an unknown number. Asterisk, you're digging too deep, General. Last chance. Asterisk, my blood ran cold. Someone knew I'd opened the drive. I checked the motel door, locked, chain on. But I wasn't sticking around to find out who was watching. I grabbed my laptop and headed for the one person I knew could help. Lena. Finding Lena wasn't easy. She'd left the army a year after me, dropped off the grid, but I'd kept tabs, mostly out of guilt. Last I heard, she was running a private security firm in D.C. I drove through the pre-dawn streets, the city waking up in a haze of fog and headlights. Her office was a nondescript building in Georgetown, the kind you'd miss if you weren't looking. I knocked, half expecting to be turned away. The door opened, and there she was, Lena Torres, older but still fierce, her dark hair pulled back, her eyes narrowing when she saw me. Jake Carver, she said, her voice a mix of surprise and suspicion. You look like hell. Good to see you too, I said, managing a grin. Can we talk? She let me in, her office cluttered with maps and monitors. It screamed, still in the game. I didn't waste time. I told her about the dinner, Donovan's reveal, the flash drive. I left out the texts, didn't want to spook her yet. When I mentioned Operation Nightfall, her face tightened. "You shouldn't be here," she said, crossing her arms. "That life's done, Jake. For both of us. Then why do I have a drive full of missions I don't remember?" I asked, holding it up. "Donovan says I was a general. Says someone erased me. And there's a traitor in the Corps." Lena's eyes flickered, like she was weighing whether to bolt or fight. "Donovan's right," she said finally. "You were the best of us. Mosul was your call. Saved a lot of lives, but it pissed off the wrong people. After that, they retired you. Permanently. Retired." I laughed, bitter. "They didn't pension me off, Lena. They wiped my head and left me to rot." She looked away, and I saw something new in her. Guilt. "I tried to stop them, Jake. I swear. But orders came from the top. Above Donovan." My stomach twisted. "Who?" She hesitated, then typed something on her computer. A file popped up, a Shadow Corps roster, 2017. My name was at the top, but another caught my eye, Major E. Ruiz, Maya's mentor from the dinner. He'd been in Mosul, part of my team, and there was a note next to his name. Asterisk transferred to Oversight, 2018. Classified. Asterisk. "Ruiz," I said, my voice low. "He's involved." "Maybe," Lena said. "He was promoted after you disappeared. Too fast if you ask me. But Jake, if you go after him, you're painting a target on your back." I didn't care. If Ruiz was tied to my erasure, I needed answers. But before I could push, my phone rang. It was Maya, her voice frantic. "Jake, where are you? Something's happened." "What?" I asked, my pulse spiking. "It's Donovan. He's in the hospital. Someone attacked him last night. He's asking for you." I broke every speed limit getting to Walter Reed. Maya met me in the lobby, her uniform wrinkled, her eyes red. "He was ambushed outside his house," she said, leading me to the ICU. "Knifed in an alley. He's stable, but barely. Donovan was hooked to machines. His face pale, but his eyes sharp. Carver," he croaked as I approached. "They know you're back. Nightfall. It's active again." "Who's they?" I demanded, leaning close. "Ruiz." He coughed, wincing. "Not just him. Check the drive. Look for a Viper." He passed out before he could say more. Maya grabbed my arm, her voice shaking. "Jake, what's going on? Why's this happening?" I wanted to tell her everything, but the words stuck. She'd thought I was a nobody for years, and now I wasn't sure I could trust her. Not with Ruiz in the picture. "I need to see that drive again," I said instead. "Help me, Maya. Please." She nodded, but her eyes were hard. "You're not telling me everything, are you?" "Funny," I shot back. I was about to say the same thing. We headed to her apartment, the flash drive burning a hole in my pocket. The files on Viper were buried deep, encrypted with a code I couldn't crack. But one document stood out, a memo from Ruiz to an unknown recipient. Asterisk, Nightfall compromised. Carver's removal necessary. Asterisk dated the day before my discharge. I showed it to Maya, and her face went white. "Ruiz. My mentor. He wouldn't." "Then explain this," I said, pointing to the screen. "He wanted me gone. And now Donovan's down. You still think he's clean?" She sank onto the couch, her hands trembling. I don't know, Jake. I trusted him. He trained me, pushed me to join the Corps. If he's involved, what else don't I know?" I wanted to comfort her, but the anger was still there, simmering. "You thought I was a failure, Maya. All these years you let me believe it. Why didn't you ever ask what happened?" Her eyes filled with tears. "Because I was ashamed. You were my hero, Jake. When you got discharged, I thought you'd let me down. I couldn't face it." Her words hit like a grenade. My sister, the one I'd protected my whole life, had written me off. But looking at her now, broken and scared, I felt the old instinct kick in. She was still family. "We'll figure this out," I said, softer now. "But we need to be honest. No more secrets. She nodded, wiping her eyes. Okay. Together. Together, I said, but the moment was cut short by a crash outside. Glass shattered, and I yanked Maya to the floor as gunfire tore through the window. We crawled behind the couch, my heart racing. Someone was coming for us. I grabbed my old service pistol from my bag, checking the clip. Stay low, I whispered. The shooting stopped, replaced by footsteps crunching outside. I peeked over the couch, catching a glimpse of a masked figure slipping into the shadows. My phone buzzed, one last text. You can't outrun your past, General. Hey, it's Jake Carver, back with another chapter of this crazy ride. If you're still here, you know my life went from zero to chaos faster than a DC traffic jam. Quick recap. I'm the guy who went to my sister Maya's fancy dinner, got called a nobody, then found out I was a freaking general in a secret unit called the Shadow Corps. My past. Erased. My memories. Messed with. Colonel Donovan gave me a flash drive to unlock the truth, but someone's not happy about it. First, they knifed Donovan, then they shot up Maya's apartment. Oh, and I got another text. Asterisk, you can't outrun your past, General. Asterisk now, Maya and I are in deep, chasing a traitor tied to something called Viper. Buckle up, because this is where we hit the ground running, literally. The air in Maya's apartment was thick with the smell of gunpowder and shattered glass. We were crouched behind her couch, my old service pistol in my hand, Maya clutching a kitchen knife like it was her lifeline. The gunfire had stopped, but the silence was worse. Like the calm before a storm you know is gonna wreck you. I peeked out the window, catching the shadow of a figure disappearing down the alley. Whoever they were, they weren't sticking around for round two. We gotta move, I whispered, grabbing the flash drive and my laptop. They know we're here. Maya's eyes were wide, her face pale. Who's they, Jake? What the hell's going on? No time, I said, pulling her toward the door. We need to get somewhere safe and crack those Viper files. You with me? She nodded, but I could see the doubt in her eyes. She was a soldier, trained to follow orders, but this was different. This was her brother, the guy she'd written off as a failure, dragging her into a conspiracy. I didn't blame her for hesitating, but we didn't have a choice. We slipped out the back, cutting through DC's alleys until we reached a 24-hour diner, the kind of place where nobody asks questions. I called Lena from a burner phone. She was our best shot at decoding the drive. She showed up 20 minutes later, her leather jacket damp from the drizzle, her eyes scanning the room like she expected an ambush. You two look like crap, she said, sliding into the booth. What happened? Someone tried to turn Maya's place into a shooting gallery, I said, keeping my voice low. We need to open the Viper files. Donovan said they're key. Lena's jaw tightened at Donovan's name. Heard about the attack. He's tough, he'll pull through. But Viper? That's bad news, Jake. It was a code name in Mosul. Someone high up, pulling strings. You sure you want to poke that hornet's nest? No, I admitted. But they're coming for me either way. You in? She hesitated, then nodded. For you. Always. Maya rolled her eyes, and I caught a flicker of jealousy. Great. As if dodging bullets wasn't enough, now I had to navigate sister drama. Lena plugged the drive into her tablet, her fingers flying over the screen. This encryption's next level, she muttered. But I've seen it before. Give me a few. While she worked, I watched Maya, her hands fidgeting with a coffee mug. You okay? I asked. No, she snapped, her voice low. My mentor's name is on a file saying you needed to be removed. My commander's in the ICU. And my brother's apparently a ghost. So no, Jake, I'm not okay. I wanted to snap back, but her words hit home. She was scared and I was too. I'm sorry, I said. I didn't ask for this either. But we're in it now. Together, right? She didn't answer, just stared at her coffee. Before I could push, Lena let out a low whistle. Got it. You're not gonna like this. She turned the tablet toward us. The Viper files were a goldmine. Emails, orders, surveillance reports. One stood out, a directive from 2017, signed by Major E. Ruiz. Asterisk, neutralize Carver's influence. Nightfall must proceed. Asterisk attached was a psych report detailing my reconditioning after Mosul. Neural suppression to erase my memories, my rank, my life. Ruiz had overseen it. Maya's hand flew to her mouth. Ruiz. He trained me. He said I was his best. Yeah, well, Lena said, her voice hard. He's got a funny way of showing loyalty. Look at this. She pulled up another file, a photo of Ruiz meeting a man in a dark suit, time-stamped last week. The location. A Pentagon parking garage. He's working with someone inside, I said, my stomach twisting. A mole. Lena nodded. And they're not just after you, Jake. Nightfall's back. It's a cyber attack, targeting US power grids. If it goes live, we're talking blackouts, chaos, the works. Maya's eyes narrowed. How do you know so much, Lena? You've been out of the core for years. Lena's face tightened, and for a split second, I wondered if Maya was right to be suspicious. I keep my ear to the ground, Lena said, her tone clipped. You don't survive the core without contacts. I wanted to trust Lena, she'd been my rock in Mosul, but something in her eyes didn't add up. Before I could press, my burner phone buzzed. Another text. Asterisk, you're out of time, General. Check the news. Asterisk. I grabbed my phone, pulling up a news app. A breaking headline. Asterisk, Pentagon breach. Classified data leaked. Asterisk, the report mentioned Shadow Corps intel hitting the dark web. Mission plans, agent names. My name was there, listed as a person of interest. They're framing me, I said, my voice shaking. Again. Maya grabbed the phone, her face pale. We need to find Ruiz. Now. We tracked Ruiz to a safe house in Arlington, a rundown duplex that screamed off the books. Lena's contacts had come through, but I kept her close, not sure how far I trusted her. Maya was quiet the whole drive, her knuckles white on the steering wheel. I knew what she was thinking. Ruiz had been her mentor, her guide. If he was dirty, what else had she been blind to? We parked a block away, approaching on foot. The safe house was dark, but I spotted movement inside, a shadow passing a window. I signaled Maya and Lena to flank the back while I took the front. My pistol felt heavy, unfamiliar after years of civilian life. But the muscle memory was there, like riding a bike you didn't know you could still crash. I kicked the door in, clearing the room. Ruiz was at a desk, a laptop open, his face lit by the screen. He froze when he saw me, his hand twitching toward a drawer. Don't, I said, aiming at his chest. Hands up, Ruiz. We need to talk. Maya and Lena slipped in behind me, their weapons drawn. Ruiz's eyes darted between us, calculating. Jake, he said, his voice calm. You're making a mistake. Am I? I tossed the printed Viper file on the desk. You signed off on erasing me. You're working with the mole. Start talking or I swear. It wasn't me, Ruiz cut in, his hands raised. I was following orders. From your father. My world tilted. My father. He's a drunk, Ruiz. He's been out of the picture for years. Ruiz laughed. Bitter. That's what he wanted you to think. Daniel Carver was Shadow Corps, Jake. One of the first. He faked his breakdown to protect you after Mosul. The orders to erase you? They came through him from someone higher. Maya gasped, her gun lowering. Dad, that's impossible. Is it? Ruiz said, his eyes locking on hers. Why do you think he pushed you into the core, Maya? To keep you close, keep you safe. But Jake, he was too dangerous to keep active. I wanted to punch him, to scream that he was lying. But fragments of memory flashed. Dad's late-night calls, his cryptic warnings about staying low. Had he been protecting me? Or betraying me? Before I could process it, the window behind Ruiz exploded. A flashbang went off, blinding us. I hit the floor, ears ringing as figures in black stormed the room. Lena fired, taking one down, but there were too many. I grabbed Maya, dragging her toward the back door as bullets flew. We made it to the car, Lena covering our retreat. As we peeled out, I saw Ruiz being dragged into a van, his face bloody. My phone buzzed again. Asterisk, you can't save him, General. Nightfall is coming. Asterisk. I was shaking as we ditched the car in a parking garage, switching to a backup Lena had stashed. Maya was silent, her face a mask of shock. Lena's hands were steady on the wheel, but I caught her glancing at me, like she was hiding something. Dad, Maya whispered finally. He knew. All this time. I don't know, I said, my voice raw. But we're gonna find him. And we're gonna stop Nightfall. Whatever it takes. Lena's eyes met mine in the rearview mirror. You sure about this, Jake? Once you go down this road, there's no coming back. I thought of the dinner, the way they'd called me a nobody. I thought of Mosul, the lives I'd saved, the lives I'd lost. And I thought of Dad, a man I'd written off, who might have sacrificed everything for me. I'm sure, I said. Let's end this. Hey, it's Jake Carver, and if you're still with me, you know this story's a roller coaster with no brakes. If you're just jumping in, here's the deal. I went from being called a nobody at my sister Maya's fancy DC dinner to learning I was a general in a secret unit called the Shadow Corps, my past erased by some shady neural tech. Colonel Donovan dropped that bomb, gave me a flash drive with my old mission logs, and warned me about a traitor tied to Operation Nightfall. Then things got crazy. Donovan got knifed, Maya's apartment got shot up, and we found out our dad, who we thought was a washed-up drunk, was a Shadow Corps agent who might have ordered my memory wipe. Oh, and Major Ruiz, Maya's mentor, got snatched after pointing the finger at Dad. Now we're on the run, dodging bullets and texts like asterisk, you can't save him, General. Asterisk, ready for more? Because this is where I come face to face with the ghost of my father. The parking garage was cold, the kind of damp chill that seeps into your bones. Maya, Lena, and I were crammed into a beat-up sedan Lena had borrowed from her contacts. My sister was in the back seat, staring out the window like she could will the world to make sense. Lena was driving, her eyes flicking to the rearview mirror every few seconds, like she expected a tail. Me. I was clutching the flash drive, trying to wrap my head around Ruiz's bombshell. Our dad, Daniel Carver, wasn't just some deadbeat who drank himself out of our lives. He was Shadow Corps, and he'd been pulling strings to keep me in the dark. We need to find him, I said, breaking the silence. Dad's the only one who can explain this. Maya's head snapped up. Find him. Jake, we haven't seen him in years. Last I heard, he was in some dive bar in Baltimore, drowning in whiskey. Yeah, well, Ruiz said he faked it. I shot back. If he's Corps, he's not slumming it. He's hiding. Lena glanced at me, her face unreadable. You sure about this? If Daniel's involved, he might not be happy to see you digging up his past. I don't care, I said, my voice harder than I meant. He owes us answers. About Mosul, about Viper, about why he let them erase me. Maya leaned forward, her eyes blazing. And what if he's the bad guy, Jake? What if he's the one sending those texts? I didn't have an answer. The thought of Dad being the enemy made my stomach churn, but I couldn't ignore the possibility. Still, I remembered the way he'd looked at us as kids, teaching me to shoot, telling Maya stories about Mom. He'd been broken after she left, but he was still Dad. I had to believe there was more to this. Lena, I said, you got any contacts who can track him? She nodded, pulling out her phone. I'll make some calls. But Jake, if we do this, we're walking into a trap. Whoever's after you knows your moves. Then we move faster, I said, trying to sound braver than I felt. Lena's contacts came through by dawn. Daniel Carver was living under an alias, John Malone, in a small town in Virginia, about an hour from DC. He'd been spotted at a rundown motel, the kind of place you go to disappear. We hit the road, the tension in the car thicker than the fog outside. Maya hadn't said much since the safe house, and I could feel her pulling away, like she was building walls I couldn't climb. Lena, though, was another story. She'd been too quiet since the ambush, and I caught her texting someone when she thought I wasn't looking. I didn't want to doubt her. She'd saved my life in Mosul, and she was risking it again now, but something wasn't right. When we stopped for gas, I pulled her aside. Who were you texting? I asked, keeping my voice low. Her eyes narrowed. A contact. Getting us intel. On Ruiz. I pressed. Because you didn't tell us you were reaching out to him back at the safe house. She flinched, just for a second, but it was enough. Jake, I'm on your side. I was checking if Ruiz was still alive. My source says he's being held in a black site outside Arlington. And you didn't think to share that? I said, my voice rising. Maya looked over from the car, frowning. I was going to, Lena said, her tone sharp. But you're so busy playing hero, you don't trust anyone. Maybe because someone's trying to kill us. I shot back. If you're holding out, Lena, now's the time to come clean. She stared at me, her jaw tight, then turned away. You'll see I'm clean when we get to your dad. Let's move. I let it go, but the seed of doubt was planted. Lena had always been loyal, but 8 years is a long time. People change. Or they get bought. The motel was a dump, all peeling paint and flickering neon. Room 12 was registered to John Malone, and I felt a jolt when I saw the name on the guest log. Maya stayed in the car, her gun ready, while Lena and I approached the door. My heart was pounding, memories of Dad flashing. His gruff laugh, his calloused hands, the way he'd shut down after Mom left. If he was core, he'd been lying to us our whole lives. I knocked, my pistol tucked under my jacket. The door creaked open, and there he was. Daniel Carver, older, grayer, but unmistakably Dad. His eyes widened when he saw me, then softened like he'd been waiting for this moment. Jake, he said, his voice rough. You shouldn't be here. Too late, I said, stepping inside. Lena followed, her hand on her weapon. The room was sparse, a bed, a desk, a duffel bag stuffed with papers. Ruiz says you're Shadow Corps. Says you ordered my erasure. Tell me it's not true. Dad sank onto the bed, rubbing his face. It's true, he said, and my world tilted. But not the way you think. I was Core Jake, before you were born. I left to protect you and Maya, to give you a normal life. But after Mosul, nightfall, you got too close to the truth. They wanted you dead. I convinced them to erase you instead. I felt like I'd been gut-punched. You let them wipe my memories? My life. To save you, he snapped, his eyes fierce. You were going after Viper, the mole running Nightfall. They'd have killed you, Maya, everyone. I made a deal, your life for your silence. Maya burst through the door, her face a storm. You lied to us. All those years you let me think you were a drunk, a failure. And you let Jake think he was nothing. Dad's shoulders slumped. I had no choice, Maya. Viper is still out there. And now you've brought them right to me. As if on cue, my phone buzzed. Another text. Asterisk, you found him. Now you all die. Asterisk, before I could react, headlights flooded the room. A black SUV screeched into the lot, and gunfire erupted. Lena tackled Dad to the floor, and I pulled Maya behind the bed, returning fire through the window. We gotta go. Lena shouted, dragging Dad toward the back exit. We stumbled into the night, piling into the car as bullets pinged off the metal. Lena floored it, the SUV in pursuit. Who's Viper? I yelled at Dad as we swerved through back roads. He coughed, clutching his side. Blood seeped through his shirt. He'd been hit. Not Ruiz, he gasped. Higher. Someone you know. Check the dinner. My mind flashed to that night. Harris, Ruiz, Maya's crew. Then it hit me. Colonel Harris, the smug sniper who'd called me a nobody. His name was in the Viper files, buried in a transfer order post-Mosul. He'd been there watching me, testing me. Harris, I said, my voice cold. He's the mole. Dad nodded, his face pale. He's running Nightfall. Wants to finish what you stopped. Jake. You have to. His voice faded, his eyes closing. Maya screamed, shaking him. Dad, stay with us. Lena glanced back, her face grim. He needs a hospital. Now. But as we raced toward DC, I saw her phone light up, a message from an unknown number. Deliver Carver, or you're next. My blood froze. Lena caught my eye, and for a split second I knew she'd been playing both sides. Okay, I know you're probably screaming, Lena, what? Trust me, I was right there, staring at her, wondering if my old friend was about to sell me out. Dad was bleeding, Maya was breaking, and Harris was coming for us all. The truth was closing in, but so was the danger. Stick with me, because this is about to get explosive. Hey, it's Jake Carver, back with another piece of this insane story. If you're still here, you know I'm in deep. Way deeper than I ever wanted. Quick catch-up. I went from being the family nobody at my sister Maya's DC dinner to learning I was a general in the Shadow Corps. My past erased by some next-level mind games. Colonel Donovan clued me in, gave me a flash drive with my old missions, and warned me about a traitor running Operation Nightfall. Things got wild. Donovan got knifed, Maya's place got shot up, and we found out our dad, Daniel, wasn't a drunk but a Corps agent who had me wiped to save me. Last time, we tracked him down, only to get ambushed. Dad took a bullet, and I saw a text on Lena's phone. * deliver Carver, or you're next. * yeah, my old teammate might be selling me out. Ready for more. Because this is where trust gets tested and blood gets spilled. The sedan screamed through Virginia's backroads, Dad bleeding out in the back seat, Maya pressing a torn jacket against his wound. Lena's hands were steady on the wheel, but her jaw was tight, like she knew I'd seen that text. My pistol was in my lap, not pointed at her, yet but close enough to make a point. The air was thick with tension, the kind that makes you feel like you're one wrong word from a fight you can't win. Lena, I said, my voice low. Who'd you text back at the motel? Her eyes flicked to the rearview mirror, meeting mine for a split second. Told you, a contact. Trying to keep us alive. Bull, I snapped, holding up my phone with the screenshot I'd taken of her screen. * deliver Carver or you're next. * you wanna explain this? Maya's head whipped around, her eyes narrowing. What the hell, Lena? Lena's grip tightened on the wheel, but she didn't flinch. It's not what you think, Jake. They've got my sister. Harris. He's got her locked up in a black site. Said he'd kill her if I didn't play ball. My stomach twisted. Lena's sister, Carla, was her only family, the reason she joined the Corps in the first place. If Harris had her, Lena was caught between a rock and a hard place. But that didn't mean I trusted her. Why didn't you tell me? I asked, my voice sharp. We were a team, Lena. Mosul, Kabul, you had my back. And I still do, she said, her voice breaking. I was gonna warn you, but they're watching me. Every move. I've been feeding them scraps, buying time. You gotta believe me, Jake. Maya scoffed, her hands still pressing on Dad's wound. Believe you? You're working with the guy who tried to kill us. I'm not, Lena shouted, swerving to avoid a pothole. I'm trying to save Carla and keep you two alive. Jake, you know me. I wanted to believe her. Lena had pulled me out of a burning Humvee in Mosul, shared her rations when we were stuck in the desert. But that text burned in my mind. Prove it, I said. Help us stop Harris. No more secrets. She nodded, her eyes fierce. Deal. But we need to get your dad to a hospital first. Dad groaned, his eyes fluttering open. No hospitals, he rasped. They'll find me. Take me to the safe house. Bethesda. Maya's face went pale. Dad, you're bleeding out. We can't. Listen to me, he cut her off, his voice weak but firm. Shadow Corps protocol. Safe house has a medic. Go. I exchanged a look with Lena. She nodded, turning toward Bethesda. I didn't like it. Safe houses were secure, but they were also magnets for anyone hunting us. Still, Dad was fading fast, and we didn't have a choice. The safe house was a nondescript townhouse in a quiet Bethesda neighborhood. The kind of place you'd never suspect was a Corps hideout. Inside, it was all business. Medical supplies, encrypted comms, and a grizzled medic named Doc who didn't ask questions. He got to work on Dad, stitching and bandaging while Maya hovered, her face a mix of fear and anger. I pulled Lena into a corner, away from Maya's prying eyes. You're not off the hook, I said, keeping my voice low. If you're playing us, I'll find out. I'm not, she said, her eyes locked on mine. But you need to see this. She handed me her tablet, open to a decrypted Viper file. It was a mission brief for Nightfall. A cyber attack targeting US power grids, water systems, the works. The plan was set to go live in 48 hours, coordinated from a data center in DC. And Harris's name was all over it, signed as Viper Lead. He's framing you, Lena said. The Pentagon breach? They're pinning it on you, Jake. Saying you leaked the core intel. If we don't stop him, you're done. I felt sick. Harris, the smug jerk from the dinner, wasn't just a traitor. He was setting me up to take the fall. Again. Where's this data center? I asked. Annapolis Junction, she said. NSA territory. Heavily guarded, but I've got a way in. Old core codes still work. Maya joined us, her face grim. Dad's stable, but he's out for now. Doc says he needs rest. She hesitated, then pulled me aside. Jake, there's something I need to tell you. Her tone made my gut clench. What? She looked away, her voice barely a whisper. I knew about Dad. Not everything, but after you got discharged, he told me he was core. Said he had to protect you, but I didn't ask why. I thought you'd screwed up, so I let it go. I stared at her, the betrayal cutting deep. You knew he was hiding something, and you didn't tell me? Maya, they erased me. I was scared. She snapped, tears in her eyes. I was 22, Jake. You were gone, Dad was a mess, and I was trying to hold it together. I thought I was doing the right thing. The anger boiled, but I saw the pain in her eyes. The same pain I'd carried for years. She wasn't the enemy. She was just as lost as I was. Okay, I said, forcing my voice steady. No more secrets. We stop Harris, we save Dad, we end this. Together. She nodded, wiping her eyes. Together. Lena's plan was risky. Infiltrate the data center, disable Nightfall servers, and expose Harris before he could pin the breach on me. We had 48 hours, and the clock was ticking. Lena's old core codes got us past the outer security, but the data center was a fortress. Cameras, guards, biometric locks. We moved at night, dressed in black, using Lena's tech to jam signals. Inside, it was a maze of humming servers, the air-cooled and electric. Lena hacked the mainframe while Maya and I stood watch. My memories were coming back in flashes. Mosul, the weight of command, the faces of soldiers I'd lost. I'd stopped Nightfall once, but at a cost. I couldn't let it happen again. Got it, Lena whispered, pulling up a file. It was a live feed of Harris, in a secure room, talking to a man in a suit. The man's voice was distorted, but his words were clear. Carver's back. Finish it, or you're out. Harris nodded, his smirk gone. He won't make it past tonight. My blood ran cold. They knew we were here. I grabbed Lena's arm. We need to move. Now. But it was too late. Alarms blared, and guards stormed the room. Lena shoved the tablet into my hands, pulling her gun. Get to the servers. I'll hold them off. Lena, no. I shouted, but she was already firing, drawing the guards away. Maya dragged me toward the server core, her face set. We finished this, Jake. For her. We reached the core, and I plugged in the tablet, uploading a virus Lena had prepped to fry Nightfall S-code. But as the progress bar ticked up, I heard a scream, Lena's. I turned to run back, but Maya grabbed me. She's buying us time. Don't let it be for nothing. The virus finished, and the servers sparked, shutting down. Nightfall was dead for now. But as we slipped out a side exit, I saw Lena on the ground, blood pooling around her. She'd taken down 3 guards, but they'd got her. Her eyes met mine and she mouthed, "Go." I froze, my heart breaking. Lena had been my anchor, my friend. And now she was gone, because I'd dragged her back into this. Okay, I know you're probably gutted, just like I was. Lena's sacrifice hit hard. But it wasn't the end. Harris was still out there, and Nightfall wasn't fully stopped. Maya and I had to keep going for Dad, for Lena, for the truth. Stick with me, because the fight's not over, and it's about to get personal.